What's up, everybody? Doing a trade review because it's been asked by popular demand. I'm not coming on here to do, hey, look at me, I made this trade today in coin, showing off. That's not my style to show off. The only time I might come across where I'm coming a little bit, like, ooh, that's a little bit out of character, is when people are constantly poking at me. So when they're constantly poking at me, eventually, like a month later, I might say, okay, here you go. Here's a little dig back. But for the most part, I ignore the haters and ignore all the negativity that is surrounded in stock market. Just spend 2 hours on FinTwit and you'll see all this negativity, people going back, everybody's a show off, everybody's a hero. But yeah, today I am celebrating. And thank you if you sent me a congratulation note already on this trade. I always appreciate that, because I want people to not forget. Anybody who's been following me, I've taught them so much. I've taught them so much that they've learned, right? Like not everything that they know, but I've been a part of their trading journey, a part of their trading success, and rooting for them and trying to help them achieve success. And throughout 2022, some true colors have come out, and I've noticed people forget like what you did for them, right? And they just, it's like, oh, what have you done for me lately? So always applaud people that are having success, and don't be a hater, because that's just going to come back to you. It's going to be karma. It's going to come back to you. There's a million times at Fit where I'm watching traders hit such huge trades, and it's like zero jealousy in my body. Zero. Just like I don't have FOMO, I don't have jealousy, because that's a weak man complex. Okay, if you're jealous of somebody else doing this, whatever, it's okay to be like, oh man, I wish I would have done that too. But if you're hating, then that's just wrong, right? Because it's just going to be your life. It's going to be your nature. You're always the grass is always greener. This person's always, you always want more, right? Well, that's just not a good vibe. And that's not my energy. So, oftentimes I'm watching people crush the bear market on the way down, and I'm losing money. It's like, I'm making nothing. This guy's making all this money. It's like, dude, man, you crushed it. And that's just the way it is. And just like in this trade, it's kind of like, how would you have played it? How would you have seen it without like, hey, you want to jump in and play weekly expiring in 2 days? The likelihood is you're going to lose. That's the likelihood. But in this case, they went up 6,000%. And it's the second time in my career hitting 6,000%. Second time. BPTH, I think, is the all-time classic trade that I made, which was selling. What happened to this chart? They've done so many splits in here. I think this is here. Yeah. BPPH on this day. This is probably the greatest trade in terms of execution I ever made, because this stock went up 223% that day, and I sold that at the absolute penny of the top, off of a halt. The absolute penny. So if you were a Fit of 2019, you would remember that. But in terms of the greatest trade I had up into to date, not overall dollar value, because that would go to CGC over the long run, Tesla, some big ones in terms of short-term trades, CGC over the long-term holding. But I had 6,000% in Tesla last year, and this is the second time ever hitting 6,000%. Before that, TLRY was my next highest, and GME before that, and then a whole bunch of Teslas in the 3,000, Amazon, V8, but 6,000%, this is the second time. And I was hoping that it would give me a little bit more than 6,000% to have the highest trade I ever had. So Tesla is still, percentage-wise, the biggest one. I think it was 6,300%. So to talk about how this all happened, right? So first off, let's just go and show the result. Let me make that bigger. 6,000%, bought them at 46 cents. They went to 28.08. No, they went higher, but that's when I was sold right at the bell, which was 21 fill or 20 and change fill. And then the 28, and I think they might have went up to the 30s and stuff, but it happened so fast. And then they dropped. At the end of the day, I think they were trading like at 300%. So the anatomy of the trade, like how did the trade happen? So as you know, I've been focused on coin for quite a long time, in this run in here, a lot of people made good money on coin. This is when I started focusing on coin, and this is where people made money. Like there's members in the community that showed me the results on this coin trade and made way more money than me. Oh, did you hear that? Lightning? Jesus Christ. Sweet Lord, baby Jesus. Made way more money than me, right? And it was like, great, congratulations. Focusing on one trade, and that's what they did really well. They focused on one trade, where I was focusing on so many trades because I thought everything was going to have an opportunity to rip. But my message was that I think coin's going to double. Why did I think coin was going to double? Well, if we just look at the weekly, if we look at the weekly chart, the last real weekly pivot down was at 207, and you see we had this weekly lower high here, and then the opportunity, if we trend out, this stock would double. Now, the other reason for that was, trend change over that, the other reason for that was the stock already doubled. The stock already showed us a double. Now, the first move off at the bottom, this was earnings and a volume climax and all that, was 104%. So it already showed me and told me it could double. It already did it. Now, that's a bottom. We have a double bottom. We have a triple bottom. This is what I talked about last night in the video. So names were showing me that they were not making new lows. So there was going to be an opportunity to go for a breakout. And we saw this coil in here. And this is the original coin trade that I had. There was a coin trade in here, and then there was another coin trade in here. These are the ones that went like 17 or 1900%. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I sold them at 300%. So I sold them at 300%. Focusing on too many trades, letting some other ones mature, not letting these ones mature because they were options, just whatever. Bad execution, should have allowed another day. The next day was engulfing. Then I stayed playing common shares the rest of the way up. And then we got into our resistance, and I was thinking we would double, right? I was thinking we would double, but when we got into our resistance, we had an inside bar, and then, you know, almost a double inside bar, wick, and then we broke down. So at that point, you're giving back some money, right? It's not hanging out, it's not weakening the zone. And then we got news that dropped it down. And this is why I don't really care too much about news. I look at this as my trading style is strictly technicals. I trade off of the technical charts that I know I could trust and feel confident putting my money in, versus fundamental analysis or news being the driving factor, because I don't really know how to interpret that. Some people do that very well. I don't do that very well. I don't even try to do it because I know it's not who I am. I look at it from a technical perspective, which also means I'm not going to hold the long run when I don't know the fundamental story very well. The biggest trade, you know, CGC, I knew the fundamental story. Score, that was one of the other biggest trades, Canadian account, that I knew the fundamental story. So I could hold and make a lot of money in those. Everything else is just a trade. Like, I don't know what Coinbase is going to be like in a year or two. Like, I have no idea. Like, this IPO'd so high and here we are. So to me, it's just trades. Like, I'm just looking for trade opportunities. So while everyone's freaking out, you know, Jim Cramer and everything about that news back, I looked at it and said, well, that just hit the trend line. That was our reason for wanting to play this, right? This breakout that potentially we could get up in here. So we made some money along the way. Now what happened yesterday, and let's just go to yesterday's message. My thought process, two things. Thought process, which is the same message I spoke about yesterday. Today plan, if we see algo behavior break a 414, this is yesterday, size into some weeklies on names I've been talking about, including Shop, Roblox, Coin, Meta, Datadog, Upstart. So that happened. We went on a break and we had some nice trends. And now let's go look at the coin thread. So the coin thread, my message here on the coin thread was, this is my concern of the chart. So this is my concern of the chart. If it's not going to work out, it's going to be a head and shoulders. We're going to get stuffed in the platinum zone. So if we get stuffed in the platinum zone, that's it. We're going down. Like, forget about it. But if we don't immediately get stuffed here, we are looking back to 76. So we were looking back to 76 because it immediately started to run up. By the way, special shout out to G Money again, because he's participating. He's in the threads. He's watching the videos. He's listening. He's watching the technicals. This is how you can make money in this market. You got to be active. You got to be. Remember I told you throughout this journey, is you, even though it's not going great and maybe you're not batting so good this year, is you still got to be active, because eventually these things are going to change and the behavior is going to change, and because you're active and you're ready for it and you've kept your mental equilibrium in check. Your 40 to 60 scale is in the right place to take advantage because you protected your high low, or you did good risk management along the way, or you've been profitable, then you're going to be able to jump on these things. So he's been killing us too. Look, he was swinging common shares. And here's my message yesterday. I'm not an option flow expert, but heavy actions on the 90s this week. And that's what I saw in the 90s. So then Miller came in and he posted on the 90 calls, right? Option experts could relay that a little bit better than me. Those calls immediately went up 80%. Those calls actually went up 20% yesterday. And then I posted this chart. This is a telltale sign of a chart that's about to gap up. And my message was, can we gap up and hit 100 tomorrow? The chart was trading at 81. And I said, can we gap up and hit 100 tomorrow? Gerald was already congratulating me before it even gapped up. That's what the chart looked like. It was 81. And I'm going to talk about that. This is behavior. You have to have like a sixth sense in stocks. Like it just comes from your experience, your history, trading weeklies, understanding how they may work. Those things were trading at 46 cents. The momentum in the stock that I was watching was, okay, we had the trend line, we had a bull engulfing candlestick on a bull break, right? So this is essentially trading in this range. Then we have a bull break. And then we have a higher open, bullish kicker. Nothing but buy pressure yesterday. Bullish kicker, nothing but buy pressure. Is it validated? It is, with volume. That's what we want to see. Is the bullish engulfing candlestick, bullish kicker candlestick, bearish engulfing candlestick, whatever candlestick you are watching, is it validated with volume? Now, if you go back and watch yesterday's video, what I talked about was names that would gap up and give us a reversal signal. And the example I used in the video was Shopify. I thought many names would do this today. I thought many names were set up for a gap and reversal today. Now, the good thing actually for the stock market is a lot of them didn't do that. So it still tells us there's still some more upside. But anyways, this is just a trade review video. So I'm thinking we got a bull kicker, we got volume, and you see this resistance in here? We're right under it. So what happens if we break it in the pre-market or something like that? Ooh, you know what it means. Squeeze. It will squeeze. Now, BlackRock, Coinbase, they made an announcement on some news in the pre-market. Not quite sure what it was, but something to do with BlackRock. And the end result was that gap up and massive reversal, right? So the bell rings and we're opening up. Like before the bell rings, it was like 9:27. I put it in the thread. I'm like, ring the bell because these things are going to be up like 3,000% or something like that. They immediately opened up 3,600% or 3,500%, and they immediately sold half. The reason why I immediately sold half on that is that's a big trade, right? You know it. You hit 3,500%. I didn't care if it was 2,300%. I didn't care if it was 3,000%, 4,000%, whatever it is at the open. I'm going to sell half. In the event, it's just a boom, straight sell. Because what happens is, and I've done this before back in the day, is you freeze because you're looking at the premium, you're looking at the chart, you're looking at the dollar value, you look back at the chart, it's moving, you look at the dollar value, oh no, it's dropping hard, and your whole thing is like, oh, you want that money back, or you want a little bit more, okay, let me see the next candle. No greed. No greed. You've just been blessed. Praise the Lord, sweet baby Jesus. With a gap up over 3,000%, 2,000%, whatever it was going to be. I knew it was going to be in that range. You take that, and you don't be a greedy asshole. You take it, you enjoy, you drink a White Claw, you prepare a cigar, you call your friends, you say, hey, we're going out for dinner tonight, which is exactly what I'm going to do right after this video. And you enjoy. That's it. But you keep half in, just in case. It's going to do something even crazier. It's going to go to 10,000 or something, like some crazy percent, which I've never seen personally myself. And then what happened was, very clearly, and by the way, I had meta calls, I had Roblox calls, I had Shopify, common shares and all these things. So there's also a lot of other things that I kind of just like, okay, I got to take care of this, but let me make sure what those other things are doing. So it's not like that easy. It's not one trade. So here we go. Here's the bell. Bell, first thing, thank you. It goes up, because as soon as it goes up, you could now, like, because you know the option takes a little bit to trigger. Like all my other options were showing the percentages first, and then coin was like maybe like 10, 15 seconds late, and it showed it. Boom, market sold. Then when I market sold, I think the spread was like $4 or $5, right? I was like, whatever, man, I don't care, right? Because if I try and put a stop loss and then it starts dumping down, because you're trying to do that and not look at the chart when you're trying to get out right at the beginning of the bell if you're trying to put a stop loss, right? So I put half to sell, and then it ran up, which was great, because at that point I was able to start putting in stops for the rest of them, right? You start putting in stops. And then immediately we saw this reversal candlestick. And is that a notable candlestick? That's the question you're going to ask yourself. You look at that and you say, wow, look at the volume coming in, right? Look at this volume compared to here. Yeah, it's huge volume. Everyone's FOMOing, everyone's selling. Like, this is all happening at once. And then the next candlestick is big bear volume. We're like, well, we haven't seen bear volume like that in a very long time. And then the next candlestick starts to come down. So stops are starting to get hit, and that was it. It faded the rest of the day. I wanted to keep a couple of runners, but eventually I just gave in to those runners because it's giving you nothing but sell signals. So that was it. That was over. So it was a great trade. Thank you for the notes. The congratulations. That's the trade review. That's how it happened. And you know, now for coin, like I told you guys in the afternoon live today, is you gotta stay away for a while. It could potentially trade higher tomorrow, but inside bar, and we gotta let some ranges develop. Just quickly touching on the market, very healthy day today, low volume consolidation, not a lot of red flags. The tempered red flag is stocks didn't make new highs, but then at the end of the day, it was just like, it was very healthy consolidation. You could see the last pivot down where we got slammed. We're actually weakening that zone, so we're at the top of that zone, weakening it. So I could see a squeeze tomorrow as well. Again, my initial thought process was we would get back down into this GP today. Like, I thought that would have been an opportunity, but it was bought up a little bit before. We're seeing some upper wicks. We know that zone is weakening, but we know this could end up being like, you look back at that zone and be like, oh man, that was a zone, you know. But right now my intentions are still that no bear until we break 408, and we're going to have opportunity to run up and get into 427, potentially 430, into this range in here, maybe 427, which would come into this candlestick right in there. But that's my mindset, because the market hasn't told me anything different, and when it tells me something different, then I would change my tune. You do not want to change your tune until the market shows you that, okay, so you lost this. No, it was double bottom. Here we go, double bottom, right? Until we stop seeing the lows held, there's no reason to be bearish and no reason to let too much noise affect your bull trading. As a bull in this run, I hope you did well, but don't forget, when this run ends, you're going to give back, because we're never quite sure. Like, tomorrow I'll come in, and because I sold everything today, is everything starts running tomorrow, I'm jumping in. Like, that's it. Oh, Amazon's going again. Okay. Oh, Shopify is going more. Okay, Roblox is going to do explosiveness now. Neo's going to go. Right? I'm just going to jump in, and if I buy them and they set up that lower high and shoot down, there we go. I'm giving some back. Mindset says, I understand that's going to happen, but I'm going to be okay if that happens. I'm going to be willing to put on that risk. And if it does happen, cool off, relax, enjoy, take a break. Peace out, everybody.